cost the town $15 and another $2 in property tax and payroll taxes, and then I put in something for the insurance and the use of town's equipment, because I assume that Public Works or whoever does the other cemetery work for the town would be sharing their equipment. And I still came out with a situation where the perpetual care fund would still have a $5,000 profit. This is not a poor cemetery. We are not asking the taxpayers to take any risks or costs with this at all. We would hope that the money would be spent. I mean, you know, there should be a charge for the town office. You guys have to listen to people like me and so on and so forth. But we would hope that and I'm sure that it would be, that the perpetual care money would be used. The capital money, we would hope would, our long-term plans are, the lady that owns the field next door is 97 years old and her children don't want the land. And the long-term plans for this $200,000 are to hope the railroad abandons the property and we could build a road over their railroad tracks and over to that other field. That's the Ken Foster story. The other thing is that the directors, and myself particularly, because I'm as much of a problem as anybody, know that we have nothing to say about anything that the town does at this cemetery after this is over any more than we would at any other town cemetery. So we are all very clear with that. But we would be willing, if the town wanted us to, a few of us, to serve on some type of advisory committee or something or other, if you wanted any input from 3 or 4 of us that have a real interest in that. What else can I tell you?
Well, the question I had that you answered toward the end there was what was the budget to maintain the cemetery? It sounds like you figured out the 375 man-hours is typically what it would take to do that, and whatever, you know, cost per hour you're paying somebody plus equipment and all of that. So
you know, the insurance of those people is expensive, and you know, because somebody could put under the lawnmower or whatever, you know. And this advisory committee could, if the town chose, be in charge of volunteers for the place, and we have had volunteers before. We usually have a pizza party in the fall and ask kids doing their community service for the school to come up for a Saturday morning and rake leaves, and you know, it's a 4-hour deal.
Other questions?
You mentioned early on that there are people that aren't happy with this idea. Who are those people? Is that your board, or is that?
Oh, no, that's the lot owners. The lot owners.
The majority of people.
The lot owners are possessed that they want everything just the way that it was. There are lot owners who have toys scattered all over the.
And my concern with that is if the town takes us over, we're going to have a bunch of disgruntled people here that we're going to have to deal with as a town thing. Where unfortunately you guys are dealing with it now, and that's not an issue that we have to deal with.
Yeah, that's right. That's an issue that the town would have to deal with. You're going to have you have a pretty demanding group of people.
Okay, other questions?
So you may have said this, but so if once we take it over, somebody wants to buy a plot, are they coming to the town to buy the plot?
Yes. We've had to suspend sale of lots. We have the poor gal who was the sexton, taking days off from work, and she's just not a management person to start with, and all of a sudden she was thrown into a terrible mess with no notice, and she just left. And I have no idea how to sell a lot.
Yep.
I was going to bring maps over to show you tonight. I just had Northeast Reprographics make new maps.
Yep.
The maps were all laid out very nicely back in the St. Regis Paper Company days
Yep.
by a very skilled person from the mill. And they have been updated, and there's been places where there's been splits and everything, but the records are really, really good. And I have all the records in my personal vault. I have no idea what some of them are. They were put in there 40 years ago, and I certainly haven't looked at them since. You know, but wouldn't I love to? And I've got a file cabinet in the Bucksport office of our CPA firm that is devoted to paid bills and everything else under the sun from Riverview Cemetery. And wouldn't I love to run that stuff right down the street to you guys? And after the chewing out I got this afternoon for not getting her lot mowed well enough, I'd be very glad to have Sue get that call next.
Mark?
Sue, do we have the capacity? Does the town have capacity?
I talked to Jay about how we might manage this. It may mean that we take on another person in the summer for that purpose, to assist what we already do in terms of this. Jay felt that would be manageable. I mean, it wasn't talking about who was chewing on you, but it was, in terms of ability to manage within the type of constraints financially that Mr. Foster's outlined in terms of time. I believe the bylaws require mowing twice a year. I mean, that's what the bylaws call for, but clearly that's the minimum. With the absolute requirement that it be done prior to Memorial Day.
Well, if we took it over, those bylaws null and void,
Yes.
Yes.
right? So, I mean, in reality, we wouldn't have to mow it at all.
Well, we'd have all those people.
I understand, but there are no bylaws that those bylaws are gonna be gone.
Again, we intend to pay for all of the legal work to switch this over, but the question would be, from a legal standpoint, and I don't have an answer, but I'd have the question at least. If your family bought a lot under these terms, and we get permission to turn it over to the town of Bucksport, and you say now, we're never going to mow this place here.
We can't say that. Oh,
No,
no,
you certainly wouldn't, but I mean, there's other things in the bylaws here that and I think they might have a claim.
Which again is concerning, that we get disgruntled people, and all of a sudden now we have a claim filed for not mowing a cemetery enough times,
Well, in the interest of time tonight, what I would suggest is that we continue the discussion at another meeting, maybe ask the Public Works Director to actually go out on site if he hasn't already.
He has done that.
Well, and also
Bring
get a legal opinion.
Yeah, the legal opinion on the bylaws, in terms of that, I'll run that by to see what the obligations would be. We can.
I didn't even look at the structure of buying and selling lots. Where would that be done out of?
That would be
town
done
office?
here at the same.
Other towns do that. Orland, I think, does that, don't they?
Okay.
Yeah, well, we
We have a
do it
couple
here
of-
too.
We have a couple
Yeah.
cemeteries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, we, as some of you know, we represent dozens of towns, and most of the cemeteries are the responsibilities of the towns.
Yeah.
The only cemetery we represent that isn't that way is Mount Hope Cemetery in Bangor. And they will never need to be turned over to the town of Bangor. But, and we would be, if I wasn't older than Derek, and if, and I'm just not willing to risk, management of $500,000. And that's all there is to that. There's been a lot of work going into getting that to that point.
Well, we'll continue the discussion. We've got a couple more things on the agenda. Thank you.
I just
Coming in.
wanted to, I just wanted to leave you, that's my agenda for this evening, and that way you can
Thank
see
you.
the points that I had hoped that I had made, and the only other thing I have is bylaws and.
They all got the bylaws
Yep.
before the
Okay.
meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your time.
Thank
Thank you. That's good.
The next item on the agenda is the Public Works vehicle bids. We have three, it look like three bids, what is it?
There are 3 bids for this
Okay.
vehicle, and the way that this was put together is the sewer department's truck that it utilized for hauling sludge and doing its work has failed or is failing. The body, it's rusted out, and they had asked for a new vehicle purchase. And a new vehicle to haul sludge is a little, you know, a used vehicle to haul sludge and do that kind of work makes some sense. And so we had a public works vehicle that fit this criteria that we already had, and so we would in essence be selling our existing public works vehicle to the sewer department because it's a different cost center, and utilizing the funds from that sale plus the funds from the surplus equipment that is currently for sale, leaving a net cost to the highway equipment fund of about $14,000. That seemed to be a used piece of equipment for our sewer plant, in my opinion, we're best suited to sell ourselves our own, that we know how it's been maintained, where it came from, and have had since new, and replace that for Public Works, which has a higher level of need than sewer does, with the new one. The net $14,000 cost is,
It looks pretty straightforward. The only question I have is there any issue, would anybody take issue with the fact that we have 3 bids, but they're different specifications, it looks like? We've got
Matt?
18 foot, and we've got 2
The
19.
Ram dealer had 2 18s still in stock. They had, the 19s they had were not the correct frame length, so those are what they offered on that. The other, one in Whited was in stock, and the Ford from Quirk had been ordered.
We talked about this in the budget process though, right? This is all, yeah, okay.
It's the pleasure of the committee.
Motion to recommend?
Second.
Okay, we got motion second, all in favor? So vote. All right, we'll recommend to the council to purchase the 18-foot Ram 5500. Next item on the agenda is road work proposals.
those will be at the next meeting,
Okay.
okay? Since we're already at 6:30 and our Public Works Director couldn't be here tonight for that.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
We're adjourned. All in favor?